Welcome to YouScore Dubai. I'm Yasir Usman and this is episode 4. Today we are looking at something a little different. Natuzzi Harmony Residences by Peacehomes Developments on Dubai Islands. Italian design, luxury living and one of Dubai's newest waterfront destination. When you hear Natuzzi, you immediately think about Italian furniture, craftsmanship and design. But is putting a luxury brand behind a residential project enough? Does the project actually deliver? Is the location worth the investment? And most importantly, does the opportunity make sense for a buyer or an investor? For that, we went to Peacehomes, we looked at their office, we sat down with the team, we had a detailed conversation about the project, and we spent time experiencing Dubai Islands itself. You have seen Peacehomes' office, you have seen the project, you have heard directly from the developer, and you have seen the construction site. So let's talk about what I actually think and let me give you the YouScore that comes with it. I'm going to start with something that's really stood out to me: design and architecture. For me, this is one of the strongest parts of Natuzzi Harmony. Actually, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10 building. There are curves everywhere. Everything has to work around the curves, and that's difficult. So when I look at the building, I don't just see something that looks different. I see the amount of thought, effort has gone into making the design actually work. There's virtually no conventional straight lines, and people might look at this and simply say it looks beautiful, but from an architectural and construction perspective, it's not that simple. When you start curving everything, you have to make the structure work. You have to make the engineering work. You have to make the interiors work. Everything has to work around those curves, and that's difficult. So when I look at this building, I don't just see something that looks different. I see the amount of thought and effort that has gone into making the design to actually work. And then you add Natuzzi identity and the Italian design philosophy to it. So for me, design and architectural, 10 out of 10. Let's talk about Natuzzi itself. Natuzzi brings decades of Italian furniture and design heritage to this concept. And the idea here isn't simply to put a Natuzzi sofa inside an apartment and put the Natuzzi name on the entrance. The Natuzzi concept is part of the residences with custom-made furniture and a very specific design language. The project offers 1, 2 and 3 bedroom residences, and that gives you something I really like about this project: exclusivity, but still with choice. You have a limited number of residences, but you are not limited to just one type of home. And I think that makes the concept much more interesting. Now let's talk about the location, because honestly, this is where I think the bigger story is. Dubai Islands is made up of 5 islands with a major waterfront master plan, beaches, resort, parks, open spaces, hospitality, growing collection of residential developments. And when I look at Dubai Islands, I don't just look at what's here today. I look at what Dubai is trying to create here. I think Dubai Islands deserve attention. So for the location, let me share my YouScore, 10 out of 10. Because you're buying into an island, buying into a waterfront master plan. You're buying into a location where a significant amount of development is still happening around you. That brings me to something very important. You have to be patient. If you're buying here as an investment, I personally would not be looking at this as a 1 or a 2 year flip. I think you need to give this location some time. Personally, I would be looking at 4 to 5 year horizon, especially if you are an end user who is buying today and wants to benefit from the area maturing around you. Because I think that's when you start seeing the real capital appreciation story. Today, you're buying into the development. Over the next few years, you're going to start seeing more of the ecosystem come together. And that's where I think the real opportunity could be. Let's talk about the capital appreciation. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Why 9 out of 10? Because I like the fundamentals. Waterfront, scarcity, infrastructure, hospitality, new developments, and a growing destination. But I'm not giving it a 10 because it's still developing, and development takes time. So there is an opportunity, but there is also risk. Now let's talk about connectivity. Today there is an existing bridge connecting Dubai Islands to the mainland. And there is another bridge already under construction which could improve connectivity even further. And that's important because infrastructure isn't just developers saying we're going to improve connectivity. This is government infrastructure. I give connectivity 9 out of 10. Dubai Islands is still developing. So if you're buying here, you need to understand that you are buying into a destination that's still being built, but it is a destination. And that's where I think the 4 to 5 year holding period becomes very important. Expected handover is towards the end of this year. And when I visited the construction site, something actually gave me confidence. I also have to give Peacehomes the credit here. They have been in constructions for years. They have an established operation. From what I saw, they appear financially wealthy and active. So personally, I don't see a reason today to believe they wouldn't be able to deliver this project. Of course, nobody can guarantee a handover date until the building is actually handed over. But based on what I saw, I'm comfortable with the delivery story. And here's another number that I think is important. The project is already around 80% sold. There are only about 20% of the units remaining. If we are talking about approximately 50 residences, it's roughly 10 units remaining. So you're not looking at a project that's sitting there with hundreds of unsold apartments. The majority of the inventory has already been sold, has already been absorbed. And with the remaining units being limited, if you like this project, I wouldn't wait until handover to start asking questions. Because by then the inventory you're looking at today may not be available. Now let's talk about the rental ROI. And here I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I know it's a low score, but let me explain something that's very important. You cannot judge Natuzzi Harmony rental performances today. Because the building is still under construction, it hasn't been handed over yet, so there is no established rental history for this building that we can use to confidently say that this is what a Natuzzi apartment rents for. I don't want to make up a number. What we can do is look at the wider Dubai Islands rental market and then work backwards. And that's why I'm being conservative. I think the rental potential is there. But I'm not going to sit here today and promise you a 7, 8 or a 10% rental yield when the building hasn't even been handed over and there is nothing in the market on a larger scale to do comparatives. So for me, the rental is 7 out of 10. Not because I think it's a bad rental property, but because we need to let the market prove the rental premium. And currently there's only less than 40 units available for rent in Dubai Islands. And this actually brings me to who I think this project may be better suited for. I think Natuzzi Harmony could be particularly interesting for the end users. Someone who wants to live here, someone who values the design, someone who wants the privacy, someone who wants something exclusive, someone who doesn't want to live in a massive tower with hundreds of identical apartments. Because here, you're getting something much more specific. You're getting Natuzzi concept, Italian soul with Dubai reimagined. You're getting the design, you're getting the limited nature of the project. You have different residence options across 1, 2, 3 bedroom. So you still have a choice. You are within a very exclusive concept. And I think that's attractive. Now let's talk about Peacehomes, the developer. I had a very positive experience with the team. I loved the office. I loved their hospitality. I liked the way the team presented the projects. I liked the fact that they're clearly willing to experiment. They're not trying to make every building look the same. They're playing with different designs, different concepts, different architectural ideas, and personally, I really like that. Some of the projects they're working on are genuinely interesting, and I think developers should be willing to experiment. If you have got the financial strength and you are delivering, if you're pushing the industry forward, then keep experimenting. Peacehomes is still building its long-term track record, and that's something I have to take into consideration. So, for the developer, I'm gonna give them 9 out of 10. Let's talk about the quality and amenities. For quality, I think the project is clearly positioned at the luxury end. Natuzzi identity gives it a strong design language. The materials and overall concept are clearly premium. Quality, 10 out of 10. For amenities, I'm slightly more conservative. This isn't a mega development where I'm going to give you 40 different facilities just because they're listed on a brochure. The focus here is more on the residence, privacy, design, and exclusivity. So, amenities, 8 out of 10. If you're looking for amenities, this isn't the project for you. Now, lifestyle. This is where I personally really like it. You've got the water, you've got the beach, you've got the resorts, you've got the wider Dubai island master plan, and you've got the Italian design. You've got a boutique residential environment. So for lifestyle, I'm gonna give them 9.5 out of 10. Because if you are the right buyer for this project, I think you're going to really enjoying living here. Availability that we were given is pricing the availability of Natuzzi at around 2,400 per square foot. We have got transactions around 2,255, 2,400, 2,600, even 2,981 per square foot, depending on the size of the unit. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you Natuzzi is simply overpriced compared to what Dubai Island is offering. The data doesn't support that blanket statement. In fact, the current developer release around 2,400 per square foot is quite competitive with the broader market. What you're paying for here isn't simply the square footage. You're paying for the design, the architecture, the Natuzzi furnishing concept, the exclusivity, the private pool concept, and the location. That's where you need to decide whether you value that or not. We have looked at the developer, we have looked at the location, we have looked at the connectivity, we have looked at the architecture, we have looked at the construction, we have looked at the rental potential, at the capital appreciation potential, and we have looked at the lifestyle. Developer, 9 out of 10. Location, 10 out of 10. Connectivity, 9 out of 10. Design and architecture, 10 out of 10. Quality, 10 out of 10. Amenities, 8 out of 10. Rental ROI, 7 out of 10. Capital appreciation, 9 out of 10. Lifestyle, 9.5 out of 10. And when I put everything together, the overall U-score for Natuzzi Harmony Residences by Peacehomes is 8.5 out of 10. Would I invest here? Yes, but with the right expectations. I wouldn't buy this property expecting to flip it in 1 year. I wouldn't buy it purely for rental yield, and I wouldn't buy it simply because Natuzzi is attached to the name. I would buy it because I believe in the combination of design, exclusivity, waterfront living, limited supply, and the long-term development of Dubai Islands. You are an end user. I think this becomes even more interesting because you're not necessarily depending on next year's rental market. You get to enjoy the home. You get the design. You get the lifestyle. And you give the island time to mature around you. If you are an investor, then you need to be more selective. Look at the exact unit, look at the price, look at the payment plan, look at the view, look at your holding period, and understand that the rental market here is still developing. That's the honest answer. But overall, this is a buy for me. Not blindly, but at the right price for the right unit with the right strategy. And yes, I would buy it. If you're interested, you should talk to us before the remaining inventory disappears. We can check the current availability, the exact unit, the view, the price, payment plan, whether it actually makes sense for you. But I'm not going to tell you to buy something just because I sell it. I'm going to tell you why I think it's worth considering, and then you make the decision. And that's what I want YouScore Dubai to be about. I'm not here to tell you what to buy. I'm here to give you the information, show you what I see, check the numbers, and give you my honest opinion. Because remember, don't invest because someone told you to or rush you into. Invest because you have done your homework. And if you need help with your homework, watch the YouScore Dubai. And if you want someone to help you with the homework, send me a message. Whether you're buying here in Dubai or investing from overseas, we'll help you find the right property, understand the numbers, and guide you through the process. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below. Tell me which developer project or community you would want me to investigate next. I'm Yasir Usman. This is YouScore Dubai, and I will see you in the next episode. Ciao.